Welcome back to the deep dive. Today I want to start by looking at a number, just a really big number, $10 billion.
That is all out of zeros.
It is. Specifically, that is the gross profit that Block, so the parent company of Square and Cash App and Afterpay that they generated in 2025. 10 billion, which is actually up 17% from the year before. So by every traditional metric we learn in, business school, this is a company in its prime. They are printing money.
Right. And usually when you're printing money, the logical next step is to hire people to help you count it, or at least to help you spend it on growth or product development, marketing, you name it. That's the standard playbook.
Exactly. You grow the top line, you grow the head count. And that is why the news that broke essentially yesterday, late February 2026, feels like a glitch in the matrix.
Yeah.
Because Jack Dorsey, the CEO, looked at that $10 billion profit engine, looked at his growing company, and decided to fire 4,000 people.
That is, it's substantial.
It's not just substantial, it's nearly half the staff.
Wow.
Gone. Just overnight.
It stops you in your tracks. When you read that headline,
It completely defies logic. Like, if you are failing, you fire people to save cash. If you are thriving, you hire people to capture market share. Block is thriving, yet they are decimating their workforce. So the question we are answering today isn't just why did they do it?
Right.
It's what does Jack Dorsey know that the rest of the market hasn't figured out yet?
And that really is the billion-dollar question. Because I read Dorsey's shareholder letter, and then I looked at the reaction from Wall Street. And the scary part isn't the layoffs themselves.
What is it?
The scary part is that the market loved it.
Loved it. Like they
adored it.
Yeah.
The stock jumped 23% after hours.
23%? That is a massive move for a company of that size.
The market is effectively saying, hey, we believe a company with half the humans is actually worth a quarter more in value.
Which is wild.
It is. It's a fundamental shift in how capital views labor. It's a signal that we have moved from an era where headcount equaled capacity to an era where headcount might actually equal drag.
So today we are doing something a bit different for this deep dive. We're sort of treating this Block announcement as a patient zero event.
I like that framing.
Yeah, we're going to look at what Dorsey calls the intelligence native operating model that he's building. We're going to unpack the technical difference between just using AI and actual agentic infrastructure, because trust me, they are not the same thing.
Not at all.
And then we're going to look at the global data. We have sources ranging from IBM in New York to banks in Lagos, proving this isn't just one eccentric billionaire, this is the new playbook.
It's a wake-up call, for sure. But as we'll see, it's also a survival guide for you listening if you know how to read it.
Exactly. So the mission of this deep dive today is when a profitable company fires half its staff, pay attention. Because Dorsey didn't just announce layoffs, he made a claim. He actually said, I think most companies are late.
That is the chilling part of his letter. He believes he is ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
And that everyone else is just, delaying the inevitable.
Yeah.
He's essentially saying, I'm doing this now because it's the right way to build a company in 2026, and the rest of you are still running your companies like it's 2019.
So let's unpack the anatomy of this decision. What exactly did Jack Dorsey say? Because usually these letters are filled with just horrible corporate jargon, synergies, right-sizing, macroeconomic headwinds.
Oh, yeah. The usual word salad.
Right. Did he hide behind that?
No.
Yeah.
And that's what makes this document from him so important to study. He was surprisingly direct. Like, he explicitly stated that this wasn't financial desperation. He didn't say we need to cut costs to survive.
Right, because they had $10 billion in profit.
Exactly. He said it was a strategic calculation about intelligence tools. His argument is that smaller, flatter teams, when paired with these advanced AI tools, can simply do more work and do it better than large armies of humans.
It's the whole idea of leverage, right? But pushed to an absolute extreme.
Yes, because in the past, the equation was linear. To get double the output, double the code, double the sales calls, double the graphic design, you usually needed roughly double the people.
Sure.
Dorsey is saying that equation is officially broken. He's betting that a significantly smaller group of humans leveraging agentic AI can outperform the larger group. And he mentioned a specific factor that drove this decision, which is compounding.
Compounding. Yeah, he said tool capabilities are, quote, compounding faster every week. I want to pause on that because we hear the phrase exponential growth all the time, but I don't think our brains really grasp what that means in reality.
We don't.
Yeah.
Humans are entirely linear thinkers. Like if you take 30 linear steps you get across your living room.
Right.
If you take 30 exponential steps, you orbit the Earth.
Yeah.
That is the difference.
That's a great way to put it. And usually in business, things are linear. You train a team, they get maybe 5% better next year.
Exactly. Humans grow linearly. You learn a little bit more each year. Organizations change linearly. But these tools, these AI models, are improving exponentially. Dorsey looked at that curve and realized that if the tools are getting twice as good every few months, holding on to a massive legacy workforce actually slows you down. It creates communication overhead. It creates bureaucracy.
It creates drag.
It creates drag. So he described facing this leadership dilemma. He had two choices. Option one was cut jobs gradually, do a round of layoffs now, wait 6 months, do another round. Basically death by 1,000 cuts as the technology improves.
Which is exactly what we see a lot of companies doing right now. It feels like every month there's a small trim at Google or a trim at Microsoft.
We do see that a lot. It's the safer political move. It keeps you out of headlines mostly. But Dorsey argued that that approach destroys morale. It destroys focus. Everyone is just looking over their shoulder, waiting for the other shoe to drop.
You can't build a bold future when your staff is just terrified of the present.
Exactly. So he chose option two. Be straightforward. Do it once. Cut deep. And move forward with the new structure.
It's ripping the Band-Aid off. But in this case, the Band-Aid covers half the body.
Yeah, it's a massive shock to the system.
Right.
But he believes it preserves trust for the people who remain. Because now they know the structure is set for the future. They aren't waiting for the next round. They are the team.
But here's the prediction that really stuck with me from his posts on X. He said, within the next year, I believe the majority of companies will reach the same conclusion and make similar structural changes.
That is a very specific timeline. Within the next year.
That's not in the distant future. That's imminent.
It's a warning shot.
Yeah.
He's telling us that he is already on the other side of a transformation that most CEOs are still just debating in committee meetings. And when he talks about this transformation, he uses this term intelligence native.
Yeah, let's drill down into this phrase, intelligence native. Honestly, it sounds like marketing fluff. Like, hey, I use AI. I use ChatGPT to write emails. My team uses it to summarize meetings. Are we intelligence native?
No. And I think this is where 90% of people get confused. What you are describing is AI as a co-pilot. You are doing the work and the AI is just helping you go a bit faster. It's like having a really fast typewriter or a really smart intern sitting right next to you.
Okay, so I'm the pilot. It's the co-pilot.
Right. Dorsey is talking about AI as an agent. The key difference is autonomy. In a co-pilot model, the human is the engine. In an agentic model, the software is the engine, and the human is just the steering wheel.
Give me a concrete example. What does that actually look like inside a company like Block?
Okay, take a standard fintech process. Risk assessment for a new merchant. Let's say a local coffee shop applies to use Square to process payments. In the old world, the co-pilot world, a human analyst opens a file, looks at the merchant's history, maybe asks an AI to summarize some credit reports. Then the human makes a decision and clicks approve.
So the human is the bottleneck. The speed of the entire process is limited by how fast the human can read and click.
Precisely. Now look at the agentic version. The AI agent doesn't just summarize. It has the permission and the capability to go into the database, pull the credit history, cross-reference it with fraud patterns from the last hour, simulate a transaction to see how it flows, make a probability-weighted decision, and crucially execute the approval.
Without a human even touching it.
Without a human even knowing it happened. This is the loop that defines agents. Perception reasoning tool, use action evaluation. The agent perceives the application reasons about the risk, uses tools to check databases, takes the action to approve, and evaluates the outcome. The human only gets involved if the AI says, hey, this one is weird. The probability is only 60%. I need a judgment call.
So instead of processing 50 applications a day, the human is just handling the 3 edge cases that confuse the machine.
Right. And this brings us back to the compounding factor we talked about. If you have 4,000 humans processing applications and they get 5% better at their jobs next year through training, that's linear growth. It's slow.
And humans leave. They get sick. They have bad days.
Exactly. But if your workforce is software, if it's these agents and the underlying model gets 50% smarter with the release of the next version, your entire workforce just got 50% more productive overnight. That is exponential leverage.
Wow.
Dorsey looked at that math and realized, if I keep the humans, I'm betting on linear growth. If I switch to agents, I catch the exponential curve.
That is a terrifyingly rational way to look at it.
It is. It's cold, but from a systems engineering perspective, it's undeniable.
Okay, so that's the theory according to Jack Dorsey. And if it were just him, we could easily say, well, that's just Jack being Jack. He's always been a bit of a minimalist, a bit of an extremist in his management style. But you brought a dossier of data that suggests he's not alone in this.
He is definitely not alone. If you look at the data from 2025 and early 2026, the floodgates have already opened. We just haven't been connecting the dots because the announcements are scattered across all these different industries and countries.
Give us the numbers. What's the aggregate picture, Lenick?
So looking at the U.S. alone, in 2025, companies directly linked 55,000 job cuts to AI adoption. Now, 55,000 might not sound like the whole workforce of the country, but that number is 12 times higher than it was just 2 years prior. The slope of that line is vertical.
12 times higher. That's not a trend. That's an explosion.
It really is. And McKinsey, who usually measures these things quite conservatively, they found that 62% of organizations were experimenting with this, and 23% were already scaling AI agents.
Wow.
And a PwC survey from 2025 showed that 92% of executives plan to ramp up AI investment over the next 3 years.
Okay, so the intent is definitely there, but who else is actually cutting people like Block did? Who is walking the walk?
It's a roll call of giants. IBM is a prime example. They replaced hundreds of HR staff and cut around 8,000 roles from their back office divisions. They've been very clear that they simply don't need humans for that administrative layer anymore.
IBM has always been a bellwether for enterprise shifts. If they're doing it, it means the technology is enterprise ready.
Exactly. But look at Salesforce. They reduced their support headcount from 9,000 down to 5,000. That's nearly half.
Just like Block.
Just like Block. And they explicitly credited agentic AI tools for taking over the workload.
That's customer support, which really feels like the front line of this war.
It is. Customer support is the low-hanging fruit because it is text-based, rule-based, and high volume. Perfect for agents, but it's moving up the value chain.
Yep.
Microsoft cut 15,000 roles in 2025. Amazon is cutting 16,000 people in 2026, and remember, that's after they already cut 14,000 previously.
Right.
And Andy Jassy, the Amazon CEO, is very direct. He said AI requires fewer people doing some of the jobs.
It's interesting because usually CEOs use euphemisms. You know, they say restructuring or right-sizing or optimizing for agility. But Jassy and Dorsey are just saying the quiet part out loud. The technology does the work, so we need fewer people.
And it's not just the tech titans. Pinterest, CrowdStrike, Chegg, they've all made similar announcements. It's becoming the standard playbook for profitability.
Now, a skeptical listener, or maybe you listening right now hoping this is somehow contained, might say, okay, this is a Silicon Valley problem. This is a U.S. corporate capitalism problem. Other cultures and other economies won't do this. Is that true?
No. And that is a very dangerous assumption to make. This is a global phenomenon. The structural change of work is happening everywhere.
Give us the world tour. Where else are we seeing this intelligence native shift?
Let's look at Africa, specifically Nigeria and Kenya. Banks across the continent are deploying AI for fraud detection and credit scoring. These used to be huge departments full of people manually reviewing loan applications. Now algorithms do it faster and more accurately.
So that's the financial sector in emerging markets.
Right. Move to Southeast Asia, Vietnam, Thailand. Manufacturers there are using computer vision for quality control on production lines.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, instead of a row of humans staring at conveyor belts looking for defects in circuit boards or sneakers, you have cameras and AI doing it with way higher precision. That cuts headcount on the factory floor directly.
What about Europe?
Healthcare systems. The UK, Germany, they're using AI to read medical scans to flag early disease markers. It's making radiologists more efficient, but it also changes staffing needs. You simply don't need as many junior radiologists to do the initial screening.
Makes sense.
In the Middle East, logistics companies are optimizing routing. They're cutting the planning departments because an AI can route a fleet of trucks more efficiently than a room full of dispatchers.
And Asia.
Law firms. We're seeing law firms in Singapore and Tokyo using AI to review contracts in hours instead of weeks. That's a massive reduction in billable hours and a direct reduction in the need for junior lawyers.
So the World Economic Forum stat you have here.
Yes, the WEF reports that 75% of global companies plan to adopt AI by 2027. This isn't just about cutting costs. It's about competitiveness.
That's the key, right? It's the prisoner's dilemma. If a company in London or Lagos is using AI and running lean faith, they can outcompete a bloated rival anywhere else.
Exactly. Efficiency gains compound just like the tech does. If your competitor can do the same work with half the staff and 10 times the speed help, you don't survive by keeping things the way they were just to be nice. You are forced to adapt.
This brings us to the speed of this thing. We called this next section the velocity problem, because I think that's what people are feeling right now, just whiplash. Why does it feel so much faster than, say, the internet revolution or the mobile revolution?
It feels faster because of what sociologists are calling the absorption gap.
The absorption gap. Break that down for us.
It's the friction between how fast technology improves versus how fast organizations and people can actually change. Usually technology gives us a grace period. A new tool comes out. It's clunky. We play with it. We slowly integrate it.
Right. Early smartphones were terrible. We had time to figure them out. The internet took a decade to really reshape retail.
Exactly. We had a quiet period to catch our breath. But with AI, there is no quiet period. By the time you adapt to the last wave, the next is already here. By the time you figure out how to use the version of AI released in early 2024, the late 2025 models are out, and they can do things the old ones couldn't even attempt.
You're constantly chasing the train, but the train is accelerating.
Gartner predicts that 40% of enterprise apps will have task-specific agents by 2026. That was less than 5% in 2025.
That's insane.
It is a massive infrastructure shift happening in barely 18 months.
And this brings us to the most worrying part of the velocity problem, the impact on the career ladder, specifically the bottom of the ladder.
This is the hollowed-out ladder effect, and the stats here are alarming. Entry-level positions in the U.S. have dropped by 29% since January 2024.
Wait, 29%?
Yes.
That is nearly a third of all starter jobs just vanished.
Vanished. Meanwhile, AI-related job postings surged 25.2% in the first quarter of 2025 alone. And the median salary for those AI roles, $157,000.
So if you know the tech, you're gold. If you're trying to break in, the door is completely locked.
And that breaks the traditional learning by doing model. Think about how you and I learned our jobs. We start at the bottom. We do the grunt work. We summarized the meetings. We formatted the slides. We crunched the basic numbers.
The drudgery. But the drudgery taught you the business. You learned how the senior partners thought by organizing their notes. You learned the product by handling the boring customer support ticket.
Exactly. The grunt work was the apprenticeship. It was the tuition. But now the grunt work is automated. The AI does the summarizing, the formatting, the basic coding. So companies are saying, great, we save money. We don't need to hire juniors.
But here's the problem. If you don't hire juniors,
where do the seniors come from in 5 years? That's the crisis. We are burning the bridge behind us. We are demanding high-skill workers who can manage the AI, but we are removing the very rung of the ladder that allows people to acquire those skills in the first place.
the economy is basically saying we only want experienced people, but it's destroying the mechanism that creates experience.
Precisely. The WEF report highlighted this vulnerability. Bank tellers, admin assistants, customer service reps, sales clerks. These are the entry points for millions of people, and they're evaporating.
That is heavy, and it leads perfectly to the question every single person listening is asking right now. Is my job safe?
Right.
We need to define the danger zones and the safe zones.
And we need to be specific. We can't just say tech jobs are safe and service jobs are doomed. It's more nuanced than that.
Yeah.
The danger zone is defined by a simple rule of thumb. If your job is primarily taking information from point A and moving it to point B, you are at risk.
Give us examples. What does moving information look like in a modern office?
Processing, organizing, retrieving, formatting. If you write a standard version of a standard thing, if you answer common questions from a script, if you follow a design checklist, AI is coming for that task.
So paralegals.
Huge risk. Paralegals face an estimated 80% risk of automation by 2026. Their job is often reviewing documents, organizing facts-checking for inconsistencies. AI is incredible at that. It doesn't get tired. It doesn't miss a comma.
Data entry.
Dead in the water.
Oh.
We're looking at 7.5 million admin and data entry jobs at risk by 2027. If your job is typing numbers from a PDF into Excel stop, find something else immediately.
Okay, so that's the danger zone. Where is the high ground? What is durable work?
Durable work is built around things AI is currently bad at, and likely will be bad at for a while. The first one is judgment in messy situations.
Meaning what exactly?
AI is great when the rules are clear, but when the data is conflicting, when the policy is vague, when you have to choose the least bad option, that requires human judgment. Deciding which plan is right when neither is perfect.
Okay, so strategy roles, crisis management.
Yes. The second area is genuine relationship management. And I don't mean sending a happy birthday email. An agent can do that. I mean actual trust, negotiation, understanding nuance,
Yeah.
sales roles that require deep empathy, leadership that requires rallying people when they are scared.
The human element, the soft skills that are actually the hard skills.
Yes. Also creative emotion, understanding human context deeply enough to create art or campaigns that resonate on an emotional level. AI can mimic style, but it struggles with deep cultural context and genuine novelty.
And I assume the physical world is still pretty
For
sexed.
now, yes. Physical presence,
Yeah.
skilled trades, plumbers, electricians, nurses who have to physically manipulate patients. Robots are getting better.
Mm.
We see Boston Dynamics doing amazing things, but they aren't replacing a master carpenter anytime soon.
But there's a catch, isn't there? I want to push back on the safe zone idea. Even if I'm in a safe zone, my job isn't staying the same.
That's the critical nuance. Being safe doesn't mean being unchanged. Take a lawyer. A high-end lawyer is in the safer zone because of their judgment. But if they use AI to review contracts, they can do the work of 3 lawyers. So the firm might need fewer lawyers overall, even if the role itself survives.
So the bar for performance just goes up.
Drastically. AI fluency is becoming like computer literacy. Remember in the 90s when you put Microsoft Word on your resume?
Yeah, it was a special skill. I know how to use the internet.
And now if you put I know how to type on a resume, people laugh at you. It's expected. We're reaching the point where I know how to use AI will be the baseline. If you can't use it, you're basically illiterate in the modern workplace.
I want to play devil's advocate for a second. We have the source material here, and there is a section called A Note on What Is Also True. It brings up a counter-argument. Wasn't Block just bloated?
A very fair question to ask.
They tripled their headcount between 2019 and 2022. That was the pandemic boom. Tech companies were hiring anyone who could breathe. Money was basically free. So isn't this just a correction? Maybe it's not about AI magic. Maybe it's just fixing a massive hiring mistake.
There is absolutely truth to that. We are definitely seeing a post-pandemic correction of overhiring. Block, Amazon, Meta, they all hired way too many people. But, and this is a big but, you have to look at the direction of the correction.
What do you mean by direction?
If it were just a correction, they would fire the people and go back to doing things the old way, just with fewer people and more stress on the remaining staff. But that's not what's happening. They are firing the people and implementing entirely new systems.
Ah, so the correction is the trigger, but the destination is different.
Exactly. Even if, let's say, 50% of this decision was just, oops, we hired too many people. The other 50% is, we can run this company better with machines. And remember, the financial markets are rewarding the leanness. Block's stock went up 23%. That signals to every other CEO that the market actively wants this new structure.
So even if the origin is a correction, the destination is undeniably an AI-driven model.
Exactly. If Block proves they can generate $10 billion in gross profit with half the staff, no board of directors is going to let their CEO keep a bloated staff just to be nice. The efficiency sets a brand new standard.
And the WEF projection you mentioned earlier, 92 million jobs displaced, but 170 million created. That sounds positive on paper, net positive jobs.
On paper, yes, net positive jobs. But the catch is, where are they and who are they for?
They are in the same places.
No. The jobs might disappear in a call center in Ohio and appear in a data center management firm in Bangalore or vice versa. And the skills are totally different. A displaced admin assistant cannot simply walk across the street and become an AI prompt engineer or a robot maintenance technician.
That's the gap.
The gap is the problem. The displacement happens overnight, like we saw with Block. The retraining, that takes years. And that is where the real pain comes from.
Okay, we have scared everyone sufficiently. We've looked at the abyss. Now let's build the bridge. We promised an action plan. How to position yourself now.
Strategy number 1 is stop playing and start working.
What does that mean in practice?
Most people are still in the toy phase with AI. They ask ChatGPT to write a funny poem or a toast for a wedding or a grocery list. That is not a skill. That's just entertainment. You need to use AI in real work.
So take a task you actually get paid to do.
Yes, exactly. Pick 2 or 3 regular tasks. Writing a report, analyzing a spreadsheet, planning a project timeline, and force yourself to rebuild that workflow using AI. Don't just ask it to do it. Figure out how to iterate with it. Where does it fail? How do you prompt it to fix the failure? Real fluency comes from solving actual problems, not watching YouTube tutorials.
Okay. Strategy 2. Understand agents.
This is crucial. You need to shift your mindset from prompt to agent. A prompt is write me an email. An agent is here as a goal plan at this conference.
You're moving from being a writer to being a manager.
Yes. Even if you are an individual contributor, you are now a manager of software agents. You need to learn how to delegate to software. Here's the goal. Here are the constraints: budget, time, tone.
Yeah.
Go find the vendors, draft the invites, and report back to me.
Sounds easy, but managing is hard. Even managing software.
It is. You have to be incredibly precise. If you give vague instructions to an agent, you get garbage output. You don't
Yeah.
need to be a coder, but you absolutely need to understand logic.
Strategy 3, invest in judgment.
We touched on this, but I really want to double down. Judgment is the most valuable human commodity left. AI can generate 10 marketing plans in 10 seconds. It can generate 10 legal strategies. It cannot tell you which one is right for this specific client in this specific political climate with these specific budget constraints,
The machine gives you options. The human makes the choice.
and takes the responsibility. AI cannot be accountable. If the strategy fails, the AI doesn't get fired. You do. So your ability to discern quality, to spot risks, to make the hard call, that is what you are paid for now.
And strategy 4, own your own training.
This is a warning. Do not wait for your employer to teach you this.
Because they're too slow.
Most companies are slower at training than the tech is at advancing. If you wait for HR to roll out the Introduction to AI seminar in 2027, you are already 2 years behind. You have to be the CEO of your own reskilling. Read the newsletters, play with the new tools the day they drop, experiment on your own time if you have to.
It's strict advice, but necessary.
It's survival advice.
So let's wrap this up. We started with the paradox. Block a highly profitable company firing half its staff. And what we've learned today is that this isn't a glitch. It's a preview.
Jack Dorsey didn't fire people because he was failing. He fired them because he believes a smaller AI-enabled company is structurally superior. And the data from around the world suggests he's right. This is happening right now.
And the choice for you listening to this is pretty binary.
It is. You can actively build toward this wave, or you can wait to be forced into it reactively. Dorsey chose to move fast. Professionals need to do the exact same thing.
I want to leave the listener with one final thought. We've talked about fear, we've talked about tactics, but what should they be thinking about regarding their own identity?
I want you to really think about your professional identity. For a long time, we tried to be irreplaceable. I'm the only one who knows how to run this report. I'm the only one who knows where the files are.
Job security through obscurity.
Exactly. But in the age of AI, nothing is permanent. No task is permanently safe. So stop trying to be irreplaceable. Start trying to be valuable. Identify where you add value that is genuinely difficult for an algorithm to replicate right now. That judgment, that empathy, that complex problem solving, build your reputation on that. And treat AI fluency not as a special skill that makes you a wizard, but as a baseline requirement, like reading and writing.
Don't fight the tool, become the master of it.
Exactly.
All right, the clock is ticking. Start now, not next quarter. Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive. We'll see you next time.